All right, let's get started on another video here. Last few videos we've been discussing functions. We've gotten so far to where we've discovered parameters and functions, arguments and functions, function calls, um, how the multiple types of functions, um, default parameters for functions, multiple parameters for functions, and then return values. So we've discovered a lot so far when it comes to functions, but there's still more to discover. So get the screen switched over here. On the right side, we got W3 Schools and stuff, which is helping us discover many different things about C++, which we are at functions right now. Left side, we have VS Code, which is the code that we wrote from in the previous example. And in this, we have two different functions, the main, and then a type, integer type, which we're using as, give it the name double game. Took in a parameter of integer, returned a sum of x times 2, and then we used a for loop to increment I to get 5 different printouts of a double for each value of I, incrementing up to 5. So this next section we discover pass by reference. In this example from the previous page, we used normal variables when we passed parameters to a function. You can also pass a reference to the function. This can be useful when you need to change the value of the arguments. Interesting. So for our first example here, pass an integer by reference. So it looks like we're going to change the code we have here completely. Let's get rid of that first. Get rid of all this right here because we won't be needing it anymore. And we're going to completely change this as well as this up here. Let's start with this though. So we're going to change the type of our function to void, which we've seen before. We're going to change the name of our function from double game to change value. And we're going to change the, we're going to keep the integer, but we are going to change the variable. If you remember right when dealing with reference, use the and symbol. This time it's going to be and num, so the variable is going to be num. I'm going to reference that. And for the body of our function, we're going to have num is 50. So we actually don't have anything printing out right here. And then in the main function, we're going to declare integer value is 10. And then we're going to call the function to place our value of 10 using the variable as the argument. And oops. Yep, yeah, you gotta spell it right first. There we go. And then they have a comment in the example here. Call the function and continue it down here so I don't run off the line, off the page there. And change the value of 50. Change the value to 50, sorry. And then we're going to print out value there to see what it comes out to be after running through the function. So my understanding of this right here is first we are creating a function, void function, variable name is going to be change value, The type of a parameter we're going to have in here is an integer, but we're going to reference a number, um, reference a location. So we're not actually going to put a value in here. We're going to actually put a variable in here. A value you cannot reference, but a variable you can. And then it's going to be num is going to be set to 50. So we're referencing a location, and that location is going to be right here. So whatever's in that current location is going to be changed to 50, is my understanding of this. Down here in the main, we declare value as being 10. We call a function, put value in there. So value will be the argument, which will end up going up in here to num. And since its value is set to 10, that is treated like an integer. Therefore, even though we have one name right here and have a different name right here, since this is the only argument, this argument matches the parameter because it is an integer, but we're going to reference value. So the reference spot of value is going to end up changing. So the location of 10 in the memory, whatever that location is, we dealt with determining what locations are. So whatever that location is, what's in that particular location, what does it matter what it is? We're going to change it to 50. And then we're going to print out the new variable or value for the variable value. That's kind of a tongue twister right there. Too bad you couldn't actually do this kind of in real life. Just kind of said, okay, so I can't see it. I can't touch it. I just know it's there. I want this to be such and such. For example, my driveway's location and I want there to be a brand new car. Or my account's the location and I want there to be this much money in it. Or my wallet's the location or my personal location, I want this to be in it. I think that's kind of how this works, except for when it comes to a program and stuff, you can actually do that. You can actually change what's in the location. In this case, we're using the function to do that. Wouldn't that be interesting to change? Just, I mean, just imagine it being there and all of a sudden it's there. Anyways, I think that would put a lot of people out of work because we wouldn't need anybody to do anything to produce anything. We just imagine it and it's there. Anyways, yeah. Okay, so that's our first example right there. That's kind of how that works. Our second example right here, pass two integers by reference. So now instead of just doing one, we're going to do two. So we still got void. We're going to go ahead and change the name right here in the second example to swap numbers. It actually doesn't say numbers, but I'm pretty sure that's what they're referencing here. We're going to keep the first one as integer. We're going to change the second one. We're going to keep the reference operator there, but we're going to change this to x and then make a second one as well. So referencing y as well. The body of the definition of the function right here is going to be changed. We're going to declare z to be x, x to be y, and y to be z. That can be kind of confusing. So z is going to be x, x is going to be y, y is going to be z, z is going to be x, x is going to be y, y is going to be z. Kind of a full-blown circle there with like three different, if you think of a triangle and stuff, one corner is z, one corner is y, one corner is x, and we're just kind of going in a circle. This is this, this is this, this is this. So I guess if you thought of it as a triangle, all three sides would have to be equal, the same. And if you know how triangles work, you can set all three angles of a triangle to be the same, and that would make that statement completely 100% true. Anyways, moving on. So we're going to change, we're going to keep the fact that we're going to declare an integer right here, but we're going to change the name of it right here. It's not going to be value anymore. It's going to be first num. And we're going to keep it as 10. We're going to declare a second one, int second num. This one's going to be 20. You're going to create some space right there. We won't need the comment anymore right here. They do have a comment in our example, but it's not right here anymore. In fact, I don't even think this code is... Yeah, it's not going to even be the same anymore, so I'll just go ahead and rewrite it. So, first off, I'm going to put the new comment in there. Call the function which will change the values of first num and second num. So swap nums, that's the call. The argument is first num, and the second argument is second num. And we don't have a default, so we have to have something in for both of them. Now, in the output right here, we're going to change this right here to after swap. This is what our after swap. Yeah, so we're just putting some a message in there right there, and a new line, and then down below it will be another message. First num, and then second num. Oh, I gotta sneeze. Sorry. It came on all of a sudden. It didn't actually happen. Anyways, so after I get done with this video, I'm going to try to get that sneeze out before I make my next video. Okay, so we're going to save that right there. So the output's going to have after swap, and then we're going to have first num and second num. So we're going to have two values. I don't think there's going to be a space in between the two values, though. I'm not seeing one. So maybe it's just going to be one full number. I don't know. But currently, our first num is 10. Our second one's 20. We take the first 10 and 20, put them up here. We're referencing the location of the values. So the 10 and 20 is not even going to be in here. It's just going to be the locations of first and second. And we're going to declare z, but first, the location of the first num, which is x, is going to be the same as the location of the second num, y. And then y is going to end up becoming the same location as z, because we're referencing the locations up here. So location of y is going to be z, the location of x is going to be y, and z is going to be x, the location of x. We've already saved it. Let's run it. Let's see what we get here. So in the printout, we had first num and second num, to where 10 was the first num, 20 was the second num. We print it out, we get this text right here, which is this right here. But for first num, we actually have 20, and for second num, we have 10. So the values stayed in the same place. The locations changed though. So we changed the location number. I think that's how you can kind of put this. So if I have 10 in this hand, 20 in this hand, what I do is the 10 and 20 stay there, and I'm literally switching my hands. I can move my hands back, but now the values have been switched. So now this one has 20, or this one has 10, this one has 20. We're moving the locations is all we're doing. We can move them back, but the values didn't change, so when you move them back, the values have to go with it. So the first move, the values stay the same place. Now the values are stuck, so when we move our hands back, those are the new values. And that's about the best way I can kind of picture that. Again, that's passing two integers by reference, which is swapping the values of two integers from one variable name to another variable name. Right hand, left hand. Right hand has, or sorry, left hand has 10, right hand has 20. The values stay there, the hands switch. So now it's left or right hand, and I'm going to get that confused. Right hand with 10, left hand with 20. Now to uncross my hands, it doesn't matter because those values still stay the same. So now the left hand has 20, the right hand has 10. Didn't change the values, but when I mean, because I'm not going to keep my hands crossed like that, whatever. Anyways, moving on. The next example here, pass a string by reference. So instead of passing integers, we're going to pass a string. In this one right here, we still got the void. We're going to modify the name to modify string. Oops, modify str. We're going to change all this to standard string, referencing str. Then we're going to change all of this to str plus equals space double quotes. That's double quotes in space world. Exclamation mark end. So it would be string equals string plus world. So we're adding world to the string, and that's going to become the new string. So, and all this right here, we're going to get rid of all this because we're going to redo all this in the main function. So standard string greeting is our variable name, is going to be set to hello, no space in there, so just end that. And then we're going to call the function modify string with the argument of greeting in that statement there. And then we're going to standard output greeting end. So in this right here, go ahead and save that real quick. We've declared a string, variable name greeting, value hello. We're going to send this to the function as greeting. We're going to reference the greeting's location. The greeting location is going to get world added to it, and then it's going to be our new str, or whatever's in this location right here. Whatever's in that location is going to now have world added to it, because it was hello, which is what this was, but it was the location, not the actual value. So location, add world to it. Pretty much it's the same thing as we got the 10, the 20. I'm going to take the 20 and add it to this hand right here. This location still exists, but the value went away. Value went into there. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and print this up real quick to make sure this works. It always is a good thing to do to make sure it worked. If it doesn't work, then you might want to check your programs. VS Code, compiler, C++, etc. That is the end of that section right there on passing by reference. Going on to the second one. It's only 20 minutes long. Let's go ahead and add this to it too. Pass array to a function. Actually, this one may be, no, actually this one's not. This one's not very long at all. Okay, so good. Pass array to a function. So pass array to a function. Parameters, you can also pass arrays to a function. So all we got to really do is, so we got still the void function, but we're going to change the name to my function to copy down what we have in the example here. We are going to change, make sure I got this put right. Yep. Change the standard string in the reference variable to integer my num numbers, and apparently the string is going to have 5 elements in it. And then the body of the function is going to change for, I'm going to put a for loop inside the function here. For I set to 0, while I is greater than 5, increment I. And this time we're going to have the curly brackets. It's going to be inside of a, a for loop. So output, standard output my num, the array of I. So actually that's not the array. As we've noticed and stuff, one time and stuff, the array may be telling you how many elements are in it. In this case, it's not telling us how many elements are in it, but it's getting the locations. So obviously this right here would be the array itself. This right here is referencing locations. How do we know the difference? First of all, it's the I and the 5. This right here would be coming from an argument, though. So something has to be set to that, and most likely that'll be in a function argument. It'll look exactly like this, except for it won't have the integer in it. So we're going to have to make up an array with the name of my nums with 5 elements in it. And we're going to use I, which is going to reference every spot in that. If you remember right when we did arrays, when you had the array name first and you were picking out a certain spot, you would indicate either 0 through 4 for whichever element you were specifying. But you wouldn't have the type in front of it. If you have a type in front of it, then you are declaring an array. Anyways, so that right there. And then since there's going to be multiple lines, we're going to have a new line for each time it declares this or outputs this. And down here in the main, obviously, we're not going to have all this. So let's rewrite all this. This is what we're going to do: declare our array. And normally when you're writing code or for the first time or whatever, uh, like a piece of paper, when you write it down, you may get things out of order and may have to rewrite it. Well, in this case and stuff, it's a great thing about computers. You don't have to rewrite it. You can just add it above it or whatnot. It's one thing we found out computers were great for was saving paper and pencils. And here's our array of 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. And that is a statement, so it's declared, and then I'm going to call the function and put that array in it like we pretty much guessed. And we're going to have, we actually don't need to have the elements in the argument. But if you want all the elements in the argument for the function, it looks like you have to have it up there. Now, it didn't specifically say that. So, I'm thinking that they're trying to make us assume something in this particular case. And I am not a fan of assuming anything. So, we got that all set up right there. We're going to go ahead and save that right there. Before we actually even test this, there is an explanation of this example in yellow here that I'm going to read. So the function, my function takes an array as its parameter, integer, my nums with the 5 elements, and loops through the array elements with the for loop. When the function is called inside the main, we pass along the variable array, which is my nums, which outputs the array elements. Note that when you call the function, you only need to use the name of the array when passing it as an argument. The name of the array itself without the rest of it. However, the full declaration of the array is needed in the function parameters. So there it did explain it. So yes, you need the full declaration of the array, which is the variable name, and how many elements is in it. But when you're putting it into the argument, you only need the name. You don't need however many arguments are in it. So this right here contains the array name with the uh, uh, elements, which is what was declared right here. But the argument, the compiler can see, okay, yep, I get it. Yep, you're wanting to put the array up here. It's got 5 elements in it. I can already see that. We got the 5-element array up here. Let's run it through the loop, and we'll output it right here. So every time I run it, I'll output whatever is in that. So we're going to get this right here printed out, pretty much is what's going to be printed out, except for it's not going to be going across the screen. It'll be going down the screen. Um, if you watched one of my previous videos and stuff, I showed you how you can change that. So this will go down the screen, so it'll be 10, 20, 30 down the screen this way. If you wanted to go across the screen, you would change this right here to double quotes with a space in between it. That way, every time it's outputted, there's a space afterwards. So it would then go across the screen. I think that's all to this section, yes. So let's save it, run it. So there it goes across the screen. Again, if you want to change it to where it's not going across the screen, it's going down the screen, put a new line after every time, save it, run it again, and it goes down the screen instead. So there's that. Moving on to the next section. It became about a half-hour video right there. This is the last section, and it's not extremely long, but I think we're going to go ahead and add this to the real-life examples part. This part's going to be C++ structures to a function, and we'll use this in our next video. And check a look real quick. Yep. So we can go ahead and put those two together and stuff, and that video probably won't even be 30 minutes long either. So if I said anything wrong, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If I say anything wrong, because it happens, I got dyslexia, so sometimes the words come out the wrong way. Feel free to throw a comment in to correct anything I've said. If you want to add any comments to this, you can. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments. Otherwise, that's it for this video, and I will see you for the next video. Thank you.